Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and this is a very awesome NightRider fire build. It really works well. It's extremely powerful, potent, definitely good for the late game, early game. It's an awesome build. Got a little bit of style with it too. I'm going to go over equipment, stats, everything you'll need. This is a really fun build. Now, this is the first half, and by the way, this is on Journey 4 of the Malenia fight. At the end of this video, I'm going to leave the second half uninterrupted. You're going to want to see the second half of the fight. It's incredible. She ends up with around half her HP. I end up with like no HP. Can't even believe it. The ending is just wild, so definitely stay tuned for the end of that. It's going to be awesome. So, as far as this build goes, we're using the NightRider's Glaive, and we're using Flaming Strike, and we have the NightRider set on as well for style. I'm going to show you where to get everything in a little bit, but the first thing we need to do is talk about the Ash of War, Flaming Strike. Flaming Strike is really powerful. It can be buffed by a lot of fire-based buffs and talismans, and it does a lot of damage. It has a two-set attack, or it's like a two-part attack. You hit, for me, I'm on Xbox, L2, and then you hit R2 to follow up with a flame attack after the initial flame that gets casted. It's extremely potent. It's got a double quick animation, and specifically with the Glaive, the reach is fantastic. It also adds a fire buff to your weapon that lasts somewhere between, I think, 30 and 40 seconds, and that adds additional fire damage on top of the fact that we're already using a fire-based weapon. And it's fire-based because we have the option with Flaming Strike to make it fire. We can also make it heavy and have it scale with an S, which is pretty fantastic that the NightRider's Glaive scales with an S with the heavy affinity. However, as far as the fire affinity goes, I really like that here because we're getting the fire buff on top of already having fire damage, buffing the fire with stuff like the Flame Tear, Flame Grant Me Strength, and the Fire Scorpion Charm, Shard of Alexander, all that, and it's able to do a lot of damage, and it comes out quick. That initial cast and then that follow-up, and again, I'm on Xbox, so for me it's L2 and R2, is a very quick two-attack animation that's useful for pretty much all situations. As we mentioned, that initial cast and then the follow-up attack is boosted even further by the fact that we're using something like a Halberd type weapon. We've got a lot of range with this thing. And that follow-up range makes it deadly. This thing is really fantastic. If you have a good setup, a solid build that I'm going to show you later in this video, as you can see here, we can do a lot of damage. By the way, for my own channel, I always show if you buff a whole bunch of different things, how much damage you can do. This one's not super highly buffable. It is buffable, but it's not really worth going out of your way and poison procking or anything like that. It's better to have a set, solid, reliable setup that'll get you through the game and be powerful and consistent. As you can tell with Morgott here, we're able to beat him fairly quickly. His first phase went incredibly fast just by using the shackle. He has 0 fire resistance, so it's no surprise that he takes a lot of damage in that regard. But this thing is very, as mentioned before, reliable. It's consistent, it's strong, it's got a lot of reach. It does do, I think, some poise damage. I didn't notice too many poise breaks, but you don't really need it that much. And as far as any enemies that are like humanoid, that initial cast will actually do a little bit of poise damage and knock them back, as you saw with Malenia earlier in the video. Now, where do you get all this great stuff? Well, the first thing that you need to get is in Redmane Castle. It's at the side. It's Flaming Strike. It's dropped by a Teardrop Scarab, the one that's right here, and we just kill him, get Flaming Strike, and then we have the Ash of War. It's not too bad. It's on the side of Redmane Castle. I believe I'll show you where it is on the map, but you just go around the other way around the castle, and you'll see it in a little graveyard. It's not too bad to get. Now, the NightRider set is actually a little bit difficult to get. It's difficult in the sense that the boss could be a little bit hard. It's in Consecrated Snowfield at night. They're guarding a carriage, and there's 2 NightRiders. You're basically fighting 2 of the toughest NightRiders in the game. My recommendation to you is to lure one away and then fight that, kill him, and then lure the other one away. You have to kill both in order to get the drops on the set, along with the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone that they give you as well. As far as the glaive itself, you can get this in the lakes not too far in the game. Outside of Bellem Church, in between that and the other gate, he spawns out here. It's another NightRider, drops that, and I think Giant's Hunt, not too bad here. He's pretty easy to kill. He's by himself, and he's going to be right here. It's not too bad. Again, this is Journey 4 Radahn here that we solo. He's not even too difficult because this is such a reliable build. I did a build recently on the Godslayer's Greatsword, and I kind of had the same opinion about that. It's one of those weapons that it's not always going to get you the most ridiculous amount or insane amount of damage, but they're reliable. They're reliable, consistent weapons that work for the majority of the bosses in the game, and that's something that it's really invaluable. And it's another thing that you can also use this now without the NightRider set, because that's a little later in the game, but you can get the Glaive and Flaming Strike very early and start this setup relatively early in the game and become very powerful very quickly. Radahn's not that tough to me at this point. I fought him many times. I think I've probably soloed Radahn over 100 times or more. A lot. I've soloed Malenia probably 50 or more at this point, so it's not like they have a lot of surprises for me at this point in time, but there are certain builds where I walk into it and I'm less confident. This wasn't one of them. This is one of those builds where, as I mentioned before, the reliability, how universally great it is, that quick initial cast and then that follow-up attack is really good. It's very powerful, and it's a great quick combination. For mob control, this thing is pretty excellent. There's no question about that. Individually killing enemies isn't a problem. And then if you get a whole bunch grouped up, that's not really a problem either, because that second strike has such a range with the weapon we're using that you can pretty much wipe out entire mobs. You can obliterate them with that second swipe. It does so much fire and physical damage. It's awesome. Now we're going to go over equipment for this. This build is a very nice setup. I like what I have here. We have the NightRider's Glaive plus 25. Any seal works. The NightRider set, the Dragoncrest Great Shield, Ritual Swords Talisman, Shard of Alexander, the Fire Tear, and then the Fire Scorpion Charm, the Fire Tear, and the Defense Tear. These are what your stats might look like around level 150 or so. You're probably going to want to put a lot into strength. I only needed 40 vigor, so I did 70 strength, which did a lot of damage. You're going to want at least 60 strength so you can soft cap that. Maybe 50 vigor if you want a little bit more health. But overall, I ended up liking this setup. I like where my stats are at 150. This is a very well-rounded build. One quick thing real quick before we get to that end Malenia battle that ends up being really awesome. This works fantastic on tree avatars with that 1-2 punch. But yeah, if you're not subbed to my channel, definitely sub to this channel if you love overpowered Elden Ring builds, or if you just love Elden Ring and From Software games in general. I'll be doing a ton as far as this channel goes. It's really just starting to grow now. It's been fantastic. I'm very happy to get over 1,000 subs, and it's kind of been like a dream come true actually making this happen. So everybody that subs, you are making that happen, and I appreciate everybody that's on here very much. And as far as all the builds go, we're going to keep at them. We're going to keep making as much as we can, kind of make everything as powerful as we can, because that's the point, right? And when DLC inevitably comes out, it's going to get even more fun because there'll be even more versatility, and there's a ton now. So this game has been an absolute blast.